Every year on the fourth Thursday in November, Thanksgiving rolls around again. Food, family, friends, football, and floats have come to define this day of giving thanks in our modern age. But how did Thanksgiving start? And how has it changed in the years since its first conception? That is what we are here to discover. It had been a long, hard journey across the Atlantic. The Pilgrims had finally arrived in America. Not entirely intact, but in good spirits. However, they arrived near the beginning of winter. Now, I'm not sure if you know this, but Massachusetts is cold in the winter. Like, really cold. And the ground is frozen, so you can't grow food. But that didn't discourage the Pilgrims. They built a few houses and then settled down to ride out the winter. However, disease crept into the village as well as hunger. By the end of winter, nearly half of the original Pilgrims had died. But now it was warm, so they could begin planting food and hunting. One day, while the Pilgrims were searching for food, they came across a Native American named Squanto. He had spent some time in Europe and had learned English before returning to America. He taught the Pilgrims how to grow food and hunt in this new land. After the Pilgrims had harvested all the food they had grown, they invited their new Native American friends over and had a feast, giving thanks to God and their friends for helping them to survive in this new land. And everything was great after that. The end. Or not. Eventually, the Pilgrims turned on their friends, and there was a lot of bloodshed and murder. But that tends to get glossed over in history. Also, we're only supposed to be focusing on Thanksgiving. Happy times. Yay! So, anyway, the Pilgrims continued celebrating Thanksgiving every year for a while. And then the Revolutionary War happened about 150 years later. During the war, the Continental Congress declared multiple Thanksgivings throughout the years, celebrating victories over the British and giving the soldiers a break from the hardships they had been experiencing. And then, once America had been upgraded from colony to country, occasionally days of prayer, humiliation, and thanksgiving would be declared, and everyone would abide by them. In 1789, the first official Thanksgiving was announced by President George Washington. For a while after that first day, presidents would announce national days of Thanksgiving, but they were never consistent and sometimes wouldn't occur. And so, for the next 60 years or so, Thanksgiving was pretty much obsolete. And then came Lincoln, everyone's favorite president. He freed the slaves and declared that the last Thursday of every November should be a national day of Thanksgiving. Now we're a holiday! Hooray! And we have even more reasons to love Lincoln. Once Thanksgiving had become a national holiday, that's when the festivities and traditions started. Up until that point, Thanksgiving had basically just been small gatherings with a bit of food and lots of prayer. Now, Thanksgiving started to become fun. Towns would hold raffles to give away turkeys and other types of birds. Turkey shoots were popular, and in the late 19th century, the first Thanksgiving football games were played. In the early 20th century, people would dress up as ragamuffins and have parades. I legitimately do not know what ragamuffins are. Here's the best picture I can find. It's honestly kind of terrifying, and I don't know what they're trying to do. It's pretty great. I love it. Then FDR entered into office during the Great Depression. He decided that the fourth Thursday of every November should be Thanksgiving in order to give merchants more of a chance to sell Christmas things. So, in the 1930s, it was very inappropriate to sell Christmas stuff until after Thanksgiving. Clearly, we have fallen away from this time-honored tradition. I began seeing Christmas stuff in stores in October. Sometimes I see it in July. I don't appreciate this, and it's really not appropriate. And no. Christmas stuff before Thanksgiving shouldn't happen. Anyway, back to it. Yeah. So, the Republicans who had voted Lincoln into office thought that FDR was trying to do away with Lincoln's legacy, and decided to declare the last Thursday of November Republicans' Thanksgiving. And so that made the fourth Thursday of November Democrats' Thanksgiving. Honestly, this is just great. Basically, the Republicans and Democrats have never gotten along and couldn't even agree on the day Thanksgiving should happen on. Like, what the heck? I love this. It's great. Anyway, eventually Congress just decided to let Thanksgiving be on the fourth Thursday, and states slowly chose to abide by this. Texas was the last to choose to do so, of course, but I mean, who's surprised? It's Texas. So, how do we celebrate Thanksgiving now? Well, we donate food to charities, make a ton of our own food, invite friends over to eat all the food that we have made, watch football, and then proceed to enter into a food coma. And then, before all this occurs, we watch the parade, just to make ourselves nice and hungry before we have to eat all that delicious food. Some churches hold Thanksgiving services, and apparently people attend those. I've never really heard of one. Basically, we just chill with our friends and family and give thanks for our blessings, and then stuff our faces with turkey, cranberry sauce, and pie. So, anyway, this Thanksgiving, give thanks to God for what you have, and remember how you got here, celebrating this day with your friends and family, safe and warm in your own home. And remember, at least you don't have to worry about making a political statement based on what day you celebrate Thanksgiving. Cheers, happy Thanksgiving, and good night.